Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of gaming and Web3 culture. I'm your host and re-NFT ambassador, Jen Kieran, and today we've got an awesome panel lined up for you guys. So grab your controllers, crack open a Red Bull, and prepare to get your game on.
Why is it gotta be Red Bull, man? Monster, brother, Monster.
Hey there, sauce enthusiasts. It's time to bring the heat with another electrifying episode of the Block Sauce. I'm thrilled to introduce our panel. We got Jorge, Shay, and Dub back with us again this week. How are you guys doing?
Hey, can we change the intro from Red Bull to Monster? Because I'm sponsored by Monster, and I just want to make sure that, I'm giving away to the right people here. And this is Ecuador Monster, so I gotta promote it. So
what's the difference between Ecuador Monster and U.S. Monster?
Twice.
I don't know. It's in Spanish, so
less regulation. Oh man, so we've got a pretty long list of topics today. Kind of a hot week for Web3. We got pudgy penguins hitting Walmart, which how do you guys feel about this? To me, this isn't really that big a deal.
I think it's pretty awesome. I mean, I think mass adoption is going to happen gradually than all at once. And I think licensing deals are really hard to put together. And I also not only the fact that they're in Walmart across 2,000 plus stores or whatever. I think the placement that they got in Walmart, I don't exactly know what it's called, but they're kind of in the middle of the aisles. Dove is not agreeing.
I got a lot to talk on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I feel terrible.
That they got is pretty cool. It's also affordable, and I think I don't know. I used to play Club Penguin a lot growing up. That's my generation. I don't know if that's y'all's generation, but you could scan the QR code and it'll let you play Pudgy World. And I actually haven't gotten and got one yet, but I really want to see what Pudgy World looks like, because I think they're trying to build the Club Penguin for adults and stuff, but the plushies are $9. That's pretty affordable. So I feel this is a win. It's Web3 IP in Walmart, in one of the biggest retailers in space.
So I'll start off with first, congratulations. Yes, great to see $2.5 million, what they've done, to get into Walmart and all this great stuff.
True.
I am not gonna discount. I am very happy for them. I will go support them every way possible because I want them to see them win. Now, let me tell you the cons. What's the way to mass adoption through being in Walmart gonna do, right? You're talking about scanning. How are we educating people onboarding into Web3 through the animal, through the penguin, right? I get it, what the holders are getting rewards, right? Oh my God, we're going up, but we're still not gonna get mass adoption through a penguin that is being sold at Walmart.
Right.
Again, I'm not here.
Or catalyst, but it is a step in the right direction.
Well, here's the thing. So whenever I was growing up, this isn't a new concept. We had toys that we could go buy. They had codes that you could scan and do stuff online. I never scanned them, ever. The only people probably going out of their way to do this and buy the toy and then scan it in is going to be adults.
Yeah.
So I don't really see this having any impact. And even with the adults, the only people probably buying these are people already familiar and involved with pudgy penguins in some form or fashion. Yeah. So it is speculation, but I'm just saying, based on human behaviors and the past, which has a tendency to repeat itself, I don't think this is really going to go and benefit the way.
But what's the onboarding to Web3? There's still no onboarding to Web3.
You scan QR code and you get an NFT. Come on, Jorge.
Lets you play Pudgy World too, though. I feel there are some preteens who could be interested in that. Why not?
Yeah, you can't.
Let me hear Dub. I want to hear Dub.
I was about to say, I want Dub to go.
I want to dunk on it so bad. You can't knock brand awareness, though, first of all. Getting their brand in front of people is getting their brand in front of people. And first of all, in my experience, before I came into Web3, this was the business I was managing. I managed over $30 million in in-store sales in relationship directly with Walmart. made it to Bentonville, shook John Furner's hand and his team, and got stuff done. It was during COVID. It was during sporting goods rush of bikes, fitness equipment. It was freaking nuts. I've been there. I've done that. The pallet program was the first thing we started with. And that's your like hit or miss with the vendors who are going to keep the relationship going with Pudgy Penguins. You either perform and knock it out during that, or you're just like not going to be considered for another year or two. And no matter how many times you apply with these guys, and like there's marketing spin that you have to do inside of Walmart's marketing to achieve success in the pallet program, which they are not doing. You have to be on the Walmart Connect.
I'm curious.
So there's like this Walmart, there's the Walmart catalog that goes around to everyone. There's also Walmart.com and their 2-hour delivery program and everything that this is not a part of. Like anything that's not an e-commerce plus product is just getting thrown in a drive aisle and then hopes it sells, and then that's it. And then the store managers on top of it, they have a business to run. Their drive aisle is their main bread and butter for making money in that store. And if it doesn't have turnover numbers like on their sheet, then they have what's called their like rollback bucks that they're allowed to go and roll back whatever they want. I had $30 tents that were like, had no margin for discount, and they discounted it right away to like 15. So that the store manager would sell through it. The margin was gone. The account guys never ordered it again. So when I saw I knew it was over when I saw the $8 price point. Like that price point is not built for rollbacks. Like if it was at 10, 12, then it's like, okay, they're ready for that rollback to happen, and they're going to do it on like the second day. Like that's business 101 with Walmart, is like you do a price point high up and then you bring it down, and then you can support that. And like that I already saw, like I saw Python, I don't want to call anyone out, but I saw his selfie of the things, and they had already a clearance sticker on them to $6.98. Like it's a brutal store by store world that has zero control even from Walmart's account management team. It's all in the hands of the store managers now. It's a great swing. Like, I don't want to be like knock them for that and everything. It's awesome, but I've made this mistake before and I'm just seeing it again. And we actually also had a QR code strategy where it's like, you scan the QR code, you immediately get the video about how awesome this tent is because it's like an umbrella and all this stuff. And literally we had like a 0.3% scan rate on those QR codes, and they were prominent in the thing. And the Pudgy ones, they're on the back of the packaging. So for sure, no one, unless they're like at home going and scanning it because they're bored or whatever, but none of that's happening inside the store. A lot of the like drive was with their golden ticket promo that was going on during it, and someone already found it. So it's like
there was multiple. Oh, okay.
I don't know. Hopefully there's multiple, because like that promo, that drive to get people to keep coming, because like everyone's gone to Walmart and got their selfies for Twitter. That's done now. Now is the real marketing campaign where it's like everyday Americans coming in and buying this stuff at the rates Walmart needs for a pallet program.
So we've got a comment real quick. Hang on. So Rod said that he thinks the case here is having an IP transcending Web3 and NFTs. If they onboard new users, great. If not, great as well. It's a new business vertical for them. If it goes well, we could be ready to see a kids' TV show soon. What do you guys think about that?
Shout out Rod. I don't know if this is our Rod or a different Rod, but Club Penguin was huge. Like for my generation, like we played it like crazy. Like it was just as like big as Neopets, like if not bigger. And if I promise you, if Club Penguin like makes a comeback and there's like NFTs involved or whatever, like I feel like people are going to play it. So I think like if whether it's like a TV show or Club Penguin coming back, I feel like there's a lot of potential there. I think there's a lot of merit to what Dub said. Pudgy Penguins also has like an Amazon storefront now, which is interesting. And they do have like a line of products as well. So I think the QR code might be on the back for some of the products, but for some of them, I think I saw them on the front. Like they have.
Yeah, I saw it on the hang tag, but God, those hang tags rip off. Like Yeah, like there's retail is a freaking wild world full of all crazy details, and
just the fact that Luca resurrected this brand the way that he did, like this like brand was dead, you know.
yeah, and that's amazing. You know, it's just like I throw shade around the success of the Walmart relationship going forward, because I don't see this succeeding in them landing inside that toy aisle with. That is the most competitive part of Walmart. Like they have higher turnover than grocery. Like it's just nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I will say like two things. First of all, like I think like because of this breakout, I think they might land some really cool partnerships, right? Because again, the Web3 space is all about hype. And this is something that like, oh my God, Walmart, da da da. They might land some really good partnerships that might help the IP very, very greatly, right? Again, I think Pudgy Penguins, in the sense of what they've built with the Jiffy, with the NFTs, they have a great like way to reel people in. I think as you expand, and I say this because I'm working with the Waker Games Studio right now. It's a mobile Web 2 game studio coming into Web 3. You know, their things when we first started talking was like, hey man, you build the YouTube series, hey, you build the game, you build the IP, you make sure that gamer that is going to fall in love with the IP has other ways to fall in love as well, that it's like a very sticky product. And like, to me, like that's again, brilliant. And I look at like Pudgy Penguins, which again, very much alike. Like we have a little astronaut, which is very cute. And it's got like, you know, some other astronauts. Like we did a Jiffy campaign, same kind of like Pudgy Penguins, which had a lot of success. So I think like a lot of Pudgy Penguins is doing is phenomenal. I think maybe this came a little too fast. I don't know. I can't say for it, right? But again, I think eventually they'll land the right partnerships because of this Walmart deal. And at the end of the day, look, I'm rooting for them. I just think, again, if we're going to onboard people, like I need to find out how you're onboarding and educating them about this space. Because as soon as you hear Web3 or whatever, like blockchain, people are like, oh my God, get my kid off of that. What is he on? Like, oh my God, did he just create a wallet? Like, just telling you things that run through people's mind, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to be at a point where the technology eventually it becomes invisible, and we're all going to be interacting with Web3 and NFTs without knowing it.
I agree, but we're not there yet, right?
Yeah,
like,
we've got ways out for that. I mean, think about it. Anytime I jump into a new game, I have to find out what chain it's on, because sometimes I need a new wallet. I think I've probably got 7 or 8 different wallets. That's not for security purposes. That's just my base. This is what I use for gaming. You throw in, I'm trying to be secure, and next thing I know, I have 20 plus wallets, you know. Getting it to a point to where I can engage and not really know all of that or have to know all of that, I think is where we need to focus on before we can really consider mass onboarding anyway. Because like Jorge said, people hear Web3, they're immediately out. Even if you convince them to get through that front door, they start interacting with these systems. They start realizing how many wallets they have to keep track of and how many different websites they have to go to facilitate trading or buying crypto, and they're gone. Like I've onboarded Web 2 gamers into Web 3, and I had to hold their hand the whole way. And then once I got them through the entire process, they're like, okay, cool, I can play the game. Sure. But then I introduce them to a new game, and then I have to start all over and teach them the process for that chain and that wallet and how to get the NFT on that marketplace. And they're like, oh, this is too much. Like, I just want to go back to the other game, you know? So I agree. I think both of you have very valid points, but I would argue probably at least 2 years out before we see something that streamlines these systems to make it more user friendly. Because at the end of the day, even when you look at operating systems, for example, Linux is the least used operating system. It's not because it's bad. It's because it is the least user friendly. The interfaces are different across the different variants. You got all these different like flavors of Linux, for example. So you got Windows and Mac that are dominating the markets because you have this UI that hasn't drastically changed over the course of the years. People are familiar with it, they know how to use it, and they're comfortable with it. So they're not going to go out and change out their Windows PC for a Linux machine and have to start learning that 10 plus years of knowledge that they built up, right? So I think that once we get this to be a more familiar use, like I'm going to be one of those guys, the UI UX standpoint, you're going to see a little bit easier onboarding. I'm not going to say you're going to see mass onboarding or peaked interest, because you still have to find use cases to encourage people to want to use them. But I do believe that does play a role in onboarding. And we haven't, like, there's a lot of people that'll sit there and be like, oh, we have to change this. This is the key to mass onboarding. No, it's not. It's a small piece of the overall puzzle that we have not put into place yet. But I do believe it is important, and it would help a lot. Like, for example, I scan this QR code, and how does it know what wallet to go to? How do I know which wallet it went to? What other systems do they have in place to streamline and make Pudgy Penguins, like, make me want to scan the QR code, not chase down where the asset went or how to use it in Pudgy world? You know, if it's as simple as I go to the website, scan the QR code, and it's in a custodial wallet that's already linked to my Pudgy Penguins account, cool. I think that would probably be the easiest bet for them. But us Web3 native people, we're going to want to know where it's at, because if we want to trade it or sell it or whatever the case is, all of a sudden that's when the onboarding gets difficult. You see what I'm saying? From a regular user standpoint. So I think you're both right. I think that this is definitely something that could have the potential, but we're just not there yet. But that does kind of play into the next topic, which is IGN featured the My Pet Hooligans trailer. Again, to me, this is a big and little deal. As we kind of already mentioned, you know, is it going to lead to any mass onboarding? Is there any education involved? Not really. It's just a gameplay trailer on IGN. But where I think it's a big deal is this is the first time that IGN has featured a Web3 game, and they weren't just ripping it apart. Like, normally they would make an article, talk about crypto NFTs bad and how this game's going to flop or something like that. Instead, they just put up the trailer and said, here, let players decide for themselves. Do you think this is a good step in the right direction as well?
Well, I think the first thing we gotta say is that I think My Pet Hooligan, like most of these bigger studios that are realizing to get Web2 gamers into Web3, you got to get rid of the Web3 wording, right? Mm-hmm. And I think My Pet Hooligan has done that, right? It's kind of like Off the Grid, Shrapnel, Wildcard, all these Web3 studios that if you go on their website, mentions very little Web3 or NFTs or anything like that. And so I think you're starting to see, if you do that, there's games like My Pet Hooligan that have really cool trailers, it's a really cool game, is going to get mass adoption picked up because, again, to them, it's a Web2 game, right? And so I think it just, again, it's the wording and the language we're using in the space. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you start talking to the gamers and the way gamers speak, look at IGN picking up a Web3 game, probably didn't even know.
We got a comment on the last topic. Tried the game last night, not fun. Up only, but for penguins. So I'm assuming they're talking about the penguin world or whatever.
Oh,
has anybody even tried it?
Yeah. It's like it's like a loading screen for home.
Yeah, you got a little pudgy and you still
No.
How did you try it?
What? No, I watched it. Sorry.
Okay, so you watched it.
Yeah. It's just a loading screen at home. There's a tiny little mountain, and you go and climb the stuff.
So it sounds like we just need we got physical assets, we got digital collectibles, but they kind of dropped the ball in the game part.
It's TBD. It's like
it's being built. I think it's going to be released in like vertical slices. I don't think it's fully built.
Again, the money needed to build a good game, the amount of money that you need for marketing, you got these are like huge things. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm speaking as I don't know what their budget looks like, right? So you could only be able to put out teasers in hopes to, hey, keep building the floor, trading activity, make more royalties, whatever other revenues they have, revenue streams, to figure out ways to make more money, right? And so that you could keep building the dream. But again, a lot of Web3 projects, you're building dreams, right? And you're looking for investors like the everyday person to come in, hey, buy my NFT so that you can help me keep building this dream that I have. So it's just, again, it's the space that we're in. Unfortunately, it's not an easy space either.
So do you think that the IGN ad for My Pet Hooligans trailer would help them with that? Because to my understanding, it's still gated, isn't it? Or is it completely open now?
No, it's on the Epic Game Store. Yeah, it's on the Epic Game Store.
Oh, I didn't know it was completely open.
Yeah, this is all paid marketing, my friend. This is a campaign going on. We're all watching. They organize everyone nice and neat to wish list and launch on Epic so that they could be trending. It's easy to do. And then now they paid for the IGN article. You just got to keep the things. Next is coming up is the streamer activations. It's the playbook.
Hey, can you make sure, my Pet Hooligan, if you're listening to this, make sure you hire me and Nat Kieran or Dub if you need a real gamer.
Oh my God. So, but the thing is, if it's a free-to-play game, where do they make their money? I mean, are they onboarding people? Are they getting them to buy NFTs? Because last I looked, some of those NFTs are not cheap.
Traditional in-game cosmetic options they have as well. So there are in-app purchases, these kind of things. They have a battle pass system that they're orchestrating. So My Pet Hooligan, if you want someone who knows the details and run through all of your game and ecosystem, you're going to want to talk to Dub. Okay.
I could see that. Yeah. I've played it, but I didn't go through the whole ecosystem. So I didn't know what was going on, and I've had access forever. So I didn't know that they released the gate. So that's good info for sure.
Yeah, My Pet Hooligan is one of those games that there's so many opportunities for revenue streams from advertising, from partnerships and everything that would
plushies.
It's wild. I mean, I had this conversation with My Pet Hooligan actually with what's his name, Colin, about in-game branding and all that stuff and partnerships. I mean, there's a whole nother world there. Especially what they're doing now with the character mimicking your face and all that stuff. The technology they have is really, really cool. And I'm bullish on them.
I'm loyal to the other bunnies, Fluff World. So I don't really know that much.
Can you take her off the show? This girl just went Fluff World from My Pet Hooligan. I'm gonna compare them to. What?
Hang on, I think I can. I think I can do that. Let me try this real quick. Let's see.
Shut up.
What the hell? She's gone.
They're both bunnies, right?
Yes, but one's a bunny in a game, and the other bunny is I don't even know. What is the Fluff World bunny? It's not even a game yet.
Don't open that door again.
That is okay. Don't open that door. We are not going to hijack this to turn this into that. Okay, but no, I just haven't kept up with the My Pet Hooligan ecosystem in a while. I know that they release their alpha or whatever a while ago, and then
live on the Epic Store.
Yeah.
And then their trailers and their video content is really good. That's kind of the extent of what
their animations. I said it before. There's some nitpicking things that I've done as somebody who went to college briefly for animation, and I was like, this is funny because no animator has ever figured it out. But the thing is, it's something that was legitimately said. No animator has figured out how to do headphones on animal characters. That's why Disney used earbuds, because they cheated. But the animations are actually really well done. I think they could actually pull off an entire web series if they wanted to go that route, right? It's something I would sit down and watch from everything I've seen so far if they get the right writers involved. So I think
there's a real game loop, right? That's all that's missing with My Pet Hooligan, an actual
they have more. There's some more game modes and things like that. The problem is they have this one that's just confusing, and it's the open world thing that people kind of naturally land in the consumer journey right now, which is not great. Mm-hmm. But they've added a bunch of different deathmatch, a couple variations on that. They improved their servers a bunch. It's at a really great state, and it is really impressive. It's just there's no economy either, is one thing.
Their Zuckbots last, and I think that's why I kind of fell off. The Zuckbots are down bad. I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth.
Well, so I think that if I remember correctly, the Zuckbots are intended to be your low entry point anyway. But what I appreciated, and it explains why the main, I don't know if it was their Genesis collection or what, but the rabbits themselves are so expensive, is what Jorge was mentioning earlier, the technology. You basically get a full 3D avatar, right? And if anybody's followed my Twitter in the last week or two, I've been kind of experimenting with the whole VTuber thing, and it's neat. It is neat, but the one I'm using, I got for $100, right? And it's basically the bare minimum that you would expect from a VTuber avatar. I can move my head, I can blink, it kind of tracks my mouth a little bit, but their avatars go way beyond that. They've got full body tracking. If you've got the hardware and the setup to support a full body movement system, you got arms, you got your tongue and everything. it is way more advanced than most of the VTuber avatars available. And if you were to go commission something like that, you're looking at spending at least $1,500 anyway. So for their NFTs to be around the $1,200 price point, I think that's actually very fair, considering the fact you're getting one of those models that can be used in that fashion. But to me, as somebody who doesn't necessarily want to be a bunny on stream, let's be honest, I kind of do, but I don't have that kind of money. I'm going to buy a Zuckbot to get into the game, right? It's much more affordable. It's much more reasonable for a gamer. So you kind of have to find the pros and cons with the assets. I don't think there was really any ever utility provided to these Zuckbots beyond here, play our game.
Well, that's what's missing, right? Like they're not even like access to get in the game anymore. Like everyone gets access,
that's true.
right? Like the economy bit, whatever it is, they're scared of it, which makes sense, you know. But like not having it at this point is honestly a letdown, and maybe like a big retention hook that is missing, that they might look back on it and be like, man, I wish there was something that people could like collect or do, or like something meaningful in their economy ecosystem right now, because like that's, if they had that, man, they'd have people lined up out the door, I think.
So it's essentially Web 2.5 right now. It's not actually Web 3.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I agree and disagree with that, right? Like I agree, like if there's an economy, but like in order to onboard all these people that we need to be able to make these games fun, does the economy hurt it or does it make it better, right? And I think like again, this is another issue, right? The My Pet Hooligan, the audience behind it, like is it for like the 6-year-old to the 12-year-old? Is it the 12-year-old to the 20-year-old? Like, or is it all of it, right? Because again, the game itself like is cool to I think even 8-year-olds, maybe not too much because of the shooting, but hey, I remember playing, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto when I was a little kid, so I don't know. To me, it's there. So to me, at like 8 years old, like the economy is like, would I be able to understand it, right? Like, would I be able to get it all? So I don't know. I think there's just a lot of back and forth. I think right now that they're on a good path.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I think that this has potential. My Pet Hooligan is, without the core loops, without a reason to keep playing, I don't really see myself playing it on a daily basis. You know, whether it be a ranked mode or cosmetics that I can unlock, I need a reason to play a game beyond just fun gameplay. And that's not something they struggle with. This is something a lot of games across the board, Web 2 or Web 3 doesn't matter, is like they focus too much on competition, and not everybody wants to just play to compete. There's a lot of people that want those unlocks. Like think back to the early Halo days before we were buying cosmetics. You had to like complete the game on the hardest difficulty, or you had to collect certain skulls, or you had to go out of your way to unlock a lot of the stuff, and that's what made it fun and gave it replayability. But My Pet Hooligan right now, it's a fun game to jump into, shoot some people, and then once you're done shooting people, you're just going to end up jumping into another game. So I think they got a lot of room for growth. I think they have a good foundation to build off of. And I think onboarding right now using the campaign and the free access isn't necessarily going to lead to retention, which is where they're going to notice that big influx. Like they got popular on Epic. They were on the trending list. All these players are downloading it and jumping in. But what's their player base looking like 30 days from now? See what I'm saying? So I really think that they have something to work with here. We could see a lot more. I think we will see a lot more. Dub said they already added a couple of modes, so that, you know, they're still building. But
okay.
I hate saying that because gaming, we're not early to gaming. We're just early to figuring out how to make Web3 beneficial to gaming. And I say beneficial specifically because obviously there's a lot of games out there that are just using it as skin assets, and you don't need Web3 for that. You don't even need Web3 for economies like a lot of people believe. But it does help with transparency, believe it or not. People don't like that part because, for example, Epic Games, if I bought a Fortnite skin, they said that there's only 1,000 of them being sold. That encourages FOMO. You have all these players rush out to go buy the skins. How do you verify that there's only 1,000? You can't. You're just trusting that Epic only sold 1,000. With blockchain and Web3, now we can verify, oh yeah, there were only 1,000 sold. This is for sure this rare, right? So we got a ways to go. We got to find ways to explain to players and show them why this is important, why this is beneficial to them. And I think we could
one step at a time, right? One step at a time.
I'm ready to jump to where we're doing stuff, we're building, and we're seeing progress. Right now, it's like it feels like it's been a year and nobody's done much other than the games.
Like some of these, I wish these stats could be public, like these statistics around these experiences and stuff. Like if those stats could be on the blockchain, it could be public. It could give us like a lot more to go off of. Like how many people are actually playing Pudgy World? Like how many people actually scan the QR code? Like that's the data I would love to see.
How many people downloaded My Pet Hooligan from Epic? Yeah. How many people are playing 30 days from now? See, that's the kind of numbers we need to see, because then it gives us a better gauge of not only how genres are faring within Web3, but like maybe you introduce an update, right? And all of a sudden you see not only increased player growth, but you also see increased retention. You know you did something right in that update. But what if you have an update where you start losing players and you have nobody new coming in? You need to know that too, because maybe you can roll back and accommodate on the fly. I don't think developers are taking that into account, and they're not utilizing these metrics to their favor. And that might even be a marketing thing. I mean, this could even play into marketing. Jorge would probably know more about that.
The gaming strategist.
It's all a marketing thing. But again, one step at a time, right? I think there's so many more other things to solve right now before we could even get to those. But hey, I still think we're in year one of gaming. So just Web3 gaming at least. So.
Yeah, this is all common problems of indie studios, right? Like this is nothing new. And like, at the end of the day, like AMGI, like they look more like an animation studio than a gaming studio.
Well, they are an animation studio.
So of course they're going to take some missteps, right? Like, and that's just the way it is. And yeah, we're seeing it, unfortunately.
It does seem like it's kind of becoming a common problem with, maybe it's not a problem. Maybe I'm not just marketing savvy enough, but do you guys think it's beneficial to be releasing games without retention in mind? Like because it's not just My Pet Hooligan. There's a lot of games that are releasing alphas and betas to the wild that just their gameplay, it's not there, right?
Here's another issue in Web3 gaming is the way that we did fundraising, the way we have investors, right? Because we have investors, because we have communities, when this, if we don't get it by next month, fun. Oh, they said that they're gonna pull up. Again, because of the way that this space is built, there's a lot of pressure for these game publishers to put out whatever they fucking can. Like this thing just came out of the oven, and they're like, put it on the fucking dinner table right now. And they're like, what about like the rice, or what about the potatoes that goes with the chicken? And they're like, no, don't worry about it. Put the chicken on the dinner table. And you're just like, oh my god, like what am I like? There's only so much I could eat of the chicken, and like that's it. So again, it's just the issues again in this space is because of how we built it. It's hard. So we have to report to investors. I don't know if you. Again, I come from the VC world, so I'm involved in a lot. I'm advisory in a lot of these games, and I'll be honest, man. I get on some of these investor calls, and I'm like, these guys are brutalist. But again, VCs are also hurting, right? Like there's a whole domino effect, right? Like the VCs are hurting for money. They're like, come on, we need to make something. I need the token to launch. I need you to launch. Like the demands between all of this, it's very, very stressful. So again, it's the space is very tough to build it.
You hear that, Web3 gamers? Jorge said it's your fault things are like this. Chill out and be patient.
Yeah, and on the retention bit, like it's fine. Like that's normal for a game, indie game or Web3 game, whatever. Like if you need users to test your stuff, especially for like an FPS or something like that, and you have to have a high number of users just to get this first test done and make sure these loops work, make sure it sticks, then and the plan's not to retain them, then that's fine. And make sure that cost is minimal and all this stuff, and just make sure that there's not an opportunity for large social backlash from doing so, right? That's why like large AAA games don't do that, because they can't. But like indie games, hell yeah. I would do the same thing with sporting goods products, right? Like if I'm halfway through designing a snowboard, I'm going to go get people to go try it out, and this kind of stuff before. And like, even if that means they're not going to be the ones to be riding it and buying it later, or whatever. Like, it's just the way business works. They got to do it.
It's funny you say that because we just got a comment. Think indie developers have it better. I would have to agree that just because we've seen what happens. For example, I don't know who's familiar with Stalker and that IP, but they announced that their newest game was going to have NFT integrations, and it wasn't even like skins or anything like that. You actually got to name NPCs in the game, so it really had no impact on gameplay. They were entirely optional, and the community lost their mind because they had the established Web 2 community, all these anti-NFT gamers. They came out, said, hey, we're going to try this, and community lost it. Same thing happened with CCP Games. For those not familiar with them, they're the creators of EVE Online. They were doing research. They weren't even implementing it in EVE Online. They were just doing research. The community found out, lost their mind. But now they are making a Web3 game. So that's,
on that note, I finally found the phrase to use instead of NFT with gamers that I think is gonna go. It's called OGAs, ownable game assets.
I like it. You heard it right here, ladies and gents.
Hey, I didn't come up with it. It's I forget who
people love acronyms.
I was reading it. Well, like even if you drop the acronym, right? Like just calling them ownable game assets, like that sounds so much better than NFTs. Like I'm cool with it. It gets the point across. Like I think it's going to be used a lot. I came across it last night and I just can't.
What about digital collectible? You like it more than digital collectible?
Ooh,
it's tough. It's tough because stigma.
It's so different. When I think digital collectibles, I think of cards. I think of collectibles, right? And I don't think of COD skins or CSGO skins. I just don't. And I think of those as game assets. It's just interesting. But I mean, we're not consumers at the end of the day. We're too close to this market to be the ones to be like, this is what everyone's going to call it, because it's up to the consumers, not us.
Well, before we move on to the next topic, we do have another comment. What is your favorite project currently?
Ooh, God, it depends on what we're at. There's too many game genres right now. I don't even know what you want. Project. Oh my God. Are you talking about Web3 gaming infrastructure? Fucking layer 1, layer 2. God, this world is
pick a favorite, Jorge. A question's a question. It's easy. For me, it's parallel. I'm gonna give it to parallel.
For me, it's re-NFT.
I knew he was gonna say that.
Nailed it.
Oh man. He said so they clarified gaming project. What's your favorite gaming project?
Re-NFT, the best gaming infrastructure project you could use right now for rentals. If you want to get into a game that you are just priced out, maybe it's Yuga, maybe it's My Pet Hooligan, you come to the Re-NFT platform, you're able to use the NFT that needs to get you into that game. It allows you to play that game you really wanted to.
Jorge's out here for my job. I swear to God, I don't even get a chance to answer, and he just immediately goes in and just steals any chance I had at Lightning and Thunder. Killing me. Shay, what's yours?
I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna say ETH Lizards. Shout out Annie and the ETH Lizards team. Does that count? I feel like they count.
I thought you were Team Fluff World.
No, I am, but that's they're more infrastructure though. I wouldn't if I don't. They do have a game though, the FIFA game on the App Store, which is hundreds of thousands of downloads. Just saying.
So what's
Jorge, they said they want a game, not infrastructure. Your answer doesn't count.
All right, hold on, but Shay, hold on. ETH Lizards is what? They're not a game.
They're not a game, but they're in the gaming ecosystem, but they're doing some cool stuff.
They have a game they're developing.
Okay, yeah.
Really?
I forgot.
What game are they developing?
It's a mini game in the Illuvium ecosystem.
Oh, okay.
Are we allowed to say that yet?
Oop.
I mean,
I know some stuff.
Them dropping alpha. What mini game? This is the first I'm hearing.
I'm just kidding. No, but I think we are.
I have too many NDAs signed, dude. This life sucks, bro.
He's like, I can't remember which one I can talk about. Crap.
I know some stuff. I'm helping them with some contributor advisement stuff. They got some.
No, Kieran tweeted about it.
Okay,
Even,
bet.
yeah.
So I
that guy
want,
can't keep a secret.
Yeah,
I
know.
want to agree with Dub on it being parallels for me, but I have recently started revisiting Big Time, and I actually have found myself playing a little bit each day versus like once a week. So I'm kind of leaning towards Big Time. I say kind of because I still want to see more from the game.
Just wait for the parallel MMO, and then you'll be right over here with me.
So exactly. No, dude, those guys are building a couple of
Colony
things.
looks so cool. Like I am so excited for Colony. Like I just cannot.
It's like The Sims, but with AI.
Yeah, like I'm just nerding out over it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be dope. But our next topic, which is Xbox stepping into crypto. Obviously, some Microsoft papers were leaked this week, and in that there was talks about a wallet for Xbox. Now, to me, this shouldn't be surprising to anybody if you're in the know. Microsoft has actually been supporting Web3 for a while. They actually have an entire Azure cloud NFT rollout system already, and they have for a while. So their involvement in Web3 is not new to me, at least, and I understood that. But I am kind of like, wait, crypto on Xbox? Does this even make sense? And it begs the question: are they going to be building on an existing chain, or are they going to start their own chain for this? Like, I'm curious as to what their game plan long term would be.
Not another chain.
I know. But this is my theory, and I brought it up yesterday because they're not the only ones talking about launching stuff in Web3, right? I think they're going to end up building their own chain because they've already got the infrastructure and everything for it. They've got more money than most companies do to throw at building it out, but they would create their own ecosystem because they already have that going for them. You got xCloud, you've got the Game Pass, you've got Xbox Live, which I think they actually just got rid of and rolled it into the xCloud stuff. So I could see them using their own chain and having everything interoperable with their own ecosystem, but I don't really think that's beneficial from a Web3 standpoint, because if I can't leave the ecosystem, then is it really Web3?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think any major corporation and anything that they do, R&D is one of their biggest departments, right? It's research and development on ways to keep innovating and stuff like that. I think Xbox, what they're doing is just covering their grounds, because if blockchain gaming does take off, they want to make sure they have the right patents, make sure they have everything they can to get into the space, and not pay $10 million to buy somebody out because they came in early. So I think it's just, again, just doing due diligence. But do I think it's like something serious? I don't think so. I still think we're several years away from blockchain gaming being fun and cool and it's just tech. And then that's when they would probably come in. I think they're just doing their due diligence.
It's just another wallet to keep track of.
Aren't those emails leaked from aren't they from last summer? They just got leaked, but what was the timestamp or the date stamp?
Yeah, it's a big nothing burger of an email, dude. These companies have to do all this stuff. They're paid to stay. They got to stay on the edge of things. Of course, this is way too old, way too obscure. Twitter ran with it just like crypto Twitter loves to do, dude. I saw the usual people hopping from every freaking Discord posting it, being like, look how awesome of news this is. It's not, dude. We already saw the PlayStation copyrights 6 months ago for wallet tech. Yeah.
I agree. To me it's nothing. Just because even if they did launch their own wallet, the chances of me using it, unless some game forces me to, is pretty slim. If it integrates with existing wallets or I can import my wallet into it, that's a different story. But I don't know. I just can't see these big corporations giving up some of the power and control that they have to give that freedom back to the users. I feel like it would be an enclosed ecosystem, probably on their own chain. That's why they would have their own wallet, and everything that the games have been developing for on these other chains would be out unless they decide to partner up with Microsoft or something like that. Microsoft's going to want to get their cut somehow. So that's kind of where I'm standing.
Let's have this conversation in 2025.
Okay. Booked it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Make sure you guys tune into the Block Sauce in Tuesday of March 2025 when we talk about what RE NFT is doing and helping out with Microsoft, maybe. Who knows?
Oh, man. And then, of course, there's Unity walking back all of their changes. To me, I mean, I think we all saw that coming. They were going to lose a lot of business anyway. So I don't really feel like this is news either.
It's like, you stick the knife in somebody's back and then you take it out and then you're like, fuck, do I need a Band-Aid? Or like, does this guy need to go to a fucking hospital? And they're like, just put a Band-Aid on it. Just put a Band-Aid on it. And the guy's like still bleeding. So like, I think everybody that's knows now is just like, okay, we know your true intentions,
Nah, I agree. I mean, a lot of developers, even if they did walk back the changes and try to do some damage control, the trust is already broken with their communities, right? I don't think you're going to be able to recover from that. I know many projects have already started looking at either porting to Unreal or even learning Godot. Sorry. So yeah, I don't know. I think the damage has kind of already been done there. They can walk it back. They're going to, of course, keep some people around who are too deep to switch engines, but I think they already stepped in it and there's no coming back from it as far as, the people that have already made up their minds.
Yeah, I think it's just like Unity is moving on. I think it's time for us to move on too.
It doesn't seem like anybody had much to add to this one. I mean, none of us are developers, so.
Whoa.
They could fail, though, I think. I think their market share has been carved out, and I think they're here to stay. I don't think they're failing, but we'll see.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean? Wait. What do you mean by you don't think they're failing? I mean, you wouldn't increase costs if you weren't failing. I think there's a reason you're doing increased costs is because, hey, you're not doing well. And so,
they're not going to die, So.
I don't know.
I mean, they just clipped their Achilles, and they got a long hike ahead of them, essentially out of the mountains.
And the other thing is, people forget is, first of all, building games in Unity is only 20 years old, maybe less than 20 years old. And if you look at some of the game developers are in the space, I mean, they've been around for a long time before Unity existed, that they were building their own, you had to build your own engines for some of these games, right? So we have to be careful, exactly what you're doing in the sense of Unity, here, you know what I mean? And there's competitors out there. And so I think you might be Dub is saying, you hit your Achilles. And by the way, if you ever tore your Achilles, because I did, the recovery from Achilles is about a year before you could really start running if you had a full tear. So yeah, Unity might have a long hike.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually developed a game and made one, and I ultimately ended up building it on Godot. And the developer's journey of making that decision between Unity, Unreal, Godot, what have you, it's just a straight Googling. And whatever news and things are trending and things people are in their future driven business, right? People sign up for their thing now, they build stuff now, and then later on their revenue and stuff comes in, and now people are 30% more likely to choose Godot. So yeah, they got a long hill to climb, and they need to make a serious change to their business revenue model that benefits developers, because that's the only way they're going to get a ton of people back is if they turn on some sort of faucet for money. That's it. That's how this world works.
That's a good point. It's probably going to affect incoming business a lot. So I think it'll be interesting to see in a year and look back, see in retrospect how things are going.
Next topic. I will come back in 2025, and we're gonna have this topic and the previous topic for 2025, guys.
That's so funny. We should go ahead and schedule that. That could be a cute little tweet and just get out a little reel of this and just Well, on this day we're gonna be examining Unity's success.
Well, before we jump into the next topic, does anybody have a hard stop?
No, just keep going.
Okay.
If I'm late, I'll just tell them that watch the YouTube series. We were late to this. What's the next topic? Give it to me.
Because, Jorge, I know you wanted to talk about this one. WAGMI Games.
Oh,
they're mint right now. I love the crew. Before we get into this topic, I just want to preface this with I love WAGMI. I've worked personally with Scott. He is a fantastic dude. I've met him and Ian at Eat Denver. Great team. But this mint is not going well at all. That is probably the biggest understatement of the show today.
Last I checked, up. Can you give us some stats? Like, what's the supply size? What's the mint price?
That's what I was about to get into. I checked right before the show. They were trying to mint out 10,000 of their founders packs. As of right before this show started, they minted 658.
What's the price?
$300.
Oh yeah. They shouldn't have done that. That's bad. That's just a bad.
Not even that. Like I don't get it. Like I have high respect for the team. I know them very well. Good friends. Like high respect. But what was the marketing for this? Like we went on a Mario Nafal space. We went on Paul Barron space. Then we spent like we're on the front cover of OpenSea. Like. Selling out in a bear market is all about community activities. Like having the community be your marketing like backbone to all this. Like, I am so confused at what the approach was or the strategy was for this. And $300 in a bear market, like again, like oh my goodness, like where did we go?
The biggest red flag to me is the 10K supply size. Like even if they did the utmost marketing at that price point, it's hard to mint out a 10K supply size with free NFTs. Like honestly, I'm doing some marketing right now for a supplies for an NFT collection that's like 5K and it's free and it's max 2 per wallet and we still have not minted out. Like
it's not easy.
I would not recommend anybody to do a 10K supply size in this market.
Well, here's the thing. Parallels, their if I remember correctly, their decks were what, 200 a pack? Who remembers? I bought 2 of them, but I forgot the price.
Yeah, but look at the marketing for Parallel, right? Like I think it's a completely different marketing.
0.05 ETH for their starter decks, but they did sell out of their 0.11 ETH mint of their Parallel avatars. Right.
Well, see, here's the thing. These are 3 times the price of Parallels. And you're getting like half as many cards because if I remember correctly, parallel decks are like what, 60, 50 cards, something like that?
Well, those were 30 card decks and it's on base.
Oh, 30, okay.
Chain summer activation, yeah.
Well, that's about how many you get from WAGMI. You get, I believe it was 31 or 32 cards. They're all founders.
I couldn't even tell there was cards involved. Like the marketing was such a fail here. Like, where's the gameplay? Like I mean, like I've heard of WAGMI games so many freaking times. I've seen this like mech JPEG, but like I don't even know what the hell the game is. Like still.
I think they got caught up with their TV show, like the crypto show that they're on, and like these spaces and all the stuff. Like they forgot like to sell out a mint in the bear market. Like that all those things. Like if you want metagamers, then like go to where metagamers live, right? You have all these metagamer communities, Discord communities. I can tell you because I did a mint in a bear market, and like, fuck, man, did I have to bust my ass to do it because I think I did like 55 spaces between Discord and Twitter with a project, and just to sell out, I think it was 1,000 mint. Imagine what it is for 10,000. And so like again, like I just don't know what happened there. Like they had something really cool. They have an awesome team. They have like guys from like fucking Activision, fucking Microsoft, Xbox. They have like the team that needs, like they have the team that sells it, right? Like I just think like whoever they hire for marketing, like they better come talk to the gaming strategist right now.
So hang on.
No, like that's not even a marketing, that's a strategy discussion. Like when you first sit down to like, okay, we're going to mint this collection. Like what's the supply size going to be? Are we going to do like an open edition? Like that's not even like a marketer's job. I mean, maybe, but like to be like, don't do a 10K collection. Like that's absolute hopium in this space. If you're trying to do a 10K collection with that kind of marketing, with that price point, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mintage, but they tried to, I forgot exactly what they're yeah. Okay, so Jorge Dukes, they have some big names attached to the project, dude, but their mint was an epic failure. And it's just like, is there nobody on the inside that's close enough to Web3 just being like, guys, don't do this. Like,
again,
you don't do this much.
I will say this. It's hard to, the money that you raise in the space is not enough money to hire the right marketing teams, right? And I say this because I run a marketing agency, and like even this morning I was on a call with a Web3 marketing agency and a Web2 marketing agency. We were doing a little bit of a brainstorm, and like the Web2 approaches to some of these game launching, like the money that is needed to do it, I was just like, holy shit! Like, and I'm like, what am I doing in Web3 gaming right now? Like, and like, meanwhile, the person's like in this like lavish life, like, I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, yeah, like again, it's a lot harder to do marketing in this space because it's the limited dollars. But because it is limited dollars, we have the ability to do community things, and I think that's again like the community is what sells it. And like, man, to me, like I this is my post for tomorrow. So if anybody steals it for today, I will fudge you, because I want to do a poll. Like, do you do a Mario in the Fall space, or do you go on gamified with Wolves Out, right? Like, where are the gamers that are also meta gamers living? And then you go to like, you even have like Hustle and this thing of ours, right? Like he proclaims himself as the metagaming community. Like, go to them. Like, that's what he does for a living. Like, he kills it on Crypto Banter with all the gaming reviews. Like, so go to Hustle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, like, there's things that you do if you want to mint, right? Like, again, it's hard. So, but I wish WAG me the best, by all the means. And if they call me, my door, I will always help.
For the next mint, they can hire the gaming strategist to get advice from all.
Well, hang on. So I have some insight because I am working with them, right? And everybody knows I'm all about transparency, so I'm not going to hesitate to tell you guys my experience.
Man of the people, we love it.
So they hired a third-party agency for their marketing campaign surrounding a lot of this, and they reached out to me. First off, it was a cold DM. They never even mentioned WAGME Games when they first DM'd me or reached out to me, and I left them on ignore. And it took Scott coming into my DMs and being like, hey, if so-and-so reaches out to you, they're from our marketing agency. And that was what got the conversation rolling, was the fact that their team ended up having to reach out to me anyway. So why do you need a marketing agency at that point when you could have just contacted and worked with me directly? Because that's what ended up happening anyway. So beyond that, the agency that they went with, if you check their Twitter, they have 68 followers. What kind of marketing agency can't even market themselves? So that was another red flag. The Mario Narwhal space, or whatever the heck his name is, I want nothing to do with that guy. I thought it was cool when Bryson started working with them. I saw the audience, and they invited me to one of their spaces. I tried to get up there and speak last week. Didn't even get a chance to speak before they ended the space. And then I see some content from him that I wasn't a fan of. I called him out, and people didn't like that. I've burnt that bridge at this point, and I would honestly say anybody that shows up on his space is probably going to be assumed to be a bad actor. And I that's just my opinion, based on what I've seen from him and everybody else. I'm not scared to say that. If I burn a bridge and I get kicked off spaces, whatever.
Is it just me, or like I feel like Mario kind of has a bad reputation?
Oh yeah.
Then why are people working with him?
Because of the reach, right? Like, he does have a reach because he's a professional. I don't want to call it on like national TV here. Yeah, whatever you want to call national TV, YouTube. Whatever.
That's the word I've seen all over the place. So
yeah. Look, again. So like, again, to me, like, it's just bad. Like, why would you do that marketing approach? You could have spent that money and done like activations with your community to like, I don't know. I could think of a million things that you could do, but like, holy crap, man! Like, I really wish for that.
This gets better though, Jorge. I offered to do videos for them. I offered multiple videos with simulcast streams, so that way I'm streaming to multiple platforms to show off the game, get the community involved. We show up, we play some games, stomp each other. In addition to their proposed like tweet retweet campaign and spaces and all that stuff, and they denied me. They were like, no, that's too much. They came back with a counter offer, right? And I was like, okay, I'll take your counter offer. And then they're like, well, never mind. We don't want to work with you. I'm like, what the heck? Scott got involved. There was apparently a whole bunch of miscommunication with various creators, not just myself, and they ended up getting me back involved. But the fact that they got me back involved was only for the tweet and retweet campaign. They didn't want video content. Why would any game turn down the chance to get video content in favor of likes and retweets? Do we really believe that crypto Twitter is so strong that likes and retweets and getting trending on the hashtags is going to land you a successful mint? Is that what it is?
Good question. Yeah.
Or is it just bad marketing?
Yeah, it sounds like opium. A bunch of opium.
Look, at the end of the day, I will support the guys. I bought a pass, and
I did too.
Hey, like at the end of the day, I'm here to support friends, but we need to make sure that we're reaching out to this is the part of Web3, right? Like we're so small. Like let's reach out to each other. Like ask for help. Like let's work together. Like there's so many opportunities, right? Like there's so many communities that are open to helping another community mint and all this stuff and sharing all IP and everything. Like if you're a builder in the space, you have to use that DM button you have on Twitter. It's fucking free. It's free. It's free to send DMs, man. So yeah, I wish them the best, and I hope it turns around for them. They have a cool game.
When it comes to the game, I've actually gotten to play it. I think that's part of the problem with this mint is the game isn't accessible unless you've been approved for their beta or whatever. So obviously a lot of people haven't even gotten to try the game. Dub said he hasn't even seen gameplay at all, which they do royales and it's all live stream. But if you're thinking YouTube or TikTok or any type of uploaded content, yeah, I haven't seen too much of that come across my feed at least. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm curious. Who's Paul? You said it was Paul Barron?
Yeah, Paul Barron's actually a really good crypto news channel. Again, crypto news, right?
I was about to say I've never heard of him. So
yeah. If you're right, if you're in the DeFi investing communities, you want to listen to Paul Barron, right? That makes a lot of sense. But for gaming, you don't listen to Paul Barron, right? That's not that's not what Paul Barron specializes in, you know.
So that makes sense. I mean, if you're pitching a game and you're pitching it to a bunch of crypto folks, they're probably looking for that ROI. And maybe I'm misinformed on this collection, but it's just cards for the game. As far as I'm aware, there's no return. You don't get staking. There's no. Yeah, there might be in-game earnings, maybe.
Yeah, look again. I think it's trying to figure out the audience and trying to figure out the mint process. Maybe they don't even need this mint. Who knows? Maybe they don't need the mint and they just did a mint just to do the mint. So more power to Wagme Games.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing the game regardless. I'm excited to open my pack and get my stuff rolling. But I wish I would have seen some better numbers for the team, just because obviously any game that we like and want to support, watching it kind of fumble the ball, it's difficult, right? I really believe that they were building something. They managed to take a project that was once rugged and start building an entire ecosystem. There was a question earlier if they had fundraised before this. No, they've done all of this without any VC funding. So this is all, I don't know where the money's coming from. I don't know how they did it, bootstrapped or otherwise. NFT sales, I couldn't tell you. But I think that if you take into account the fact that they have done this much, they've been on the crypto gym, they got some creators involved, they managed to launch multiple collections, and they've done it all without any funding. They've even got a playable game. That's still impressive in and of itself. So I think that if they keep building and they have the funds and they weren't relying on this mint, it's still going to be fine for them. But if they were relying on this mint to sell out, that's where things get dicey. So fingers crossed. No hate for Wagme Games, guys. I just want to say I do love the team. The marketing agency may have needed a marketer on their team.
There's a special agency out there that helps out with business development, partnerships, and marketing. All three.
Is it called Jorge?
It's called Jorge.
It's a very cheap price. And let me tell you something.
Oh man.
Anyways, but all right, guys. That's enough sauce for all you guys. I think
we didn't even talk about BitBoy. What?
Dude, oh my God!
It's beating a dead horse at this point. I mean, I would love to clown on him all day, but I think we've all clowned on him in every space for the last month.
I personally am Team BitBoy. Unpopular opinion, but I feel bad for him.
All right, this is that's your cue right there, Jinx.
Yeah. I'm taking Shay out of the show again. Bye, Shay.
Go to the credits. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Block Sauce.
No, but for real, do you guys have any final thoughts? Anything that you want to talk about before we close this out?
Chilling.
Nope. Good.
Nope, we're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a wrap. Thank you for joining us for another exhilarating episode of the Block Sauce. But before we say farewell, I want to give a huge shout out to our guest, Jorge Shea Dub. Thank you for joining us again this week. Appreciate it as always. Also couldn't have done it without all of our amazing viewers. I don't know why that was so hard to say this week. I did see everybody up in the chat. We had Mimmer, we had Rod, I saw Juan. At one point we saw Kong Schlong. So thank you everybody who came out, supported the show, asked questions. We will try to see if we can get more in next time. I think I got most of the big questions today. So thank you guys for the support and hanging out. Appreciate it. That's going to be it for today, though. Join us next time for another thrilling episode of The Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3. Thank you and have a good one.